clicked
I
it.
thought,
Click the
I
thing,
thought you
Joe.
were
Click
on the
it.
stick.
You're live.
On the
We're
stick.
live. What?
We clicked the thing. Did it do anything? Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Eric. Merry Sticksmas. Bitches.
Hello, Eric.
I'm here with Mike,
Hi.
Kurt,
I.
and Joe.
Bye.
See you later, Joe. Badunk.
Bye.
All right, so what's up with Sticksmas 2020?
Sticksmas. It's the wonderful time of year when we all make each other play different games. One person
right.
chooses a game. The other person plays that game that was
Whoa.
chosen by the first person.
You choose it and you buy it for them. That's important.
Well, yes. That's true.
Yeah, you choose it and then give it to them in some way.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, like in previous years, I was given a game, and that I already actually had,
Which game?
but just
Right.
hadn't played. Mother 3.
Ah.
And
Yes.
so instead, I was given money to buy myself a pizza.
That doesn't
Right.
seem like a decent deal.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And this year, in fact, I did almost the same thing back to that same person. It turned out they already owned the game that I was going to give them, even though they did not realize it. And I bought them a different game that I also knew they wanted and said, here is this game. However, the game you are playing is this game you already own.
I thought you were going to say it turns out they already owned a pizza.
No, I do know that they have owned a pizza. Ironically, the pizza in question was also consumed by this person.
I've owned a lot of pizzas, but never for long.
That's true.
So, welcome to the Pizza
Do you
Guy.
really own a pizza, or do you just rent a pizza?
All right,
I mean,
so
I'm
here
not returning it, so
on this particular week, Mike has given a gift to Kurt, the gift of Griftlands.
oh, that's good.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
What a
Well,
professional,
I'm pretty good at this.
man.
So, Mike, why did you decide to give Kurt Griftlands?
Well, I played Griftlands earlier this year. It's a game that has been in early access for a while. And
I streamed
was
it around this time last year, I think.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a weird early access. It's sort of like Hades was in that the parts of it that exist are very polished and really good. And in fact, even maybe more so than Hades. Like there are 3 different characters currently, and their campaigns, as far as I can tell, are finished. There's nothing about what I played for Sal Derek or the second or third characters that makes it seem like they're not done. So in the summer, I played through the first 2 characters' campaigns, and I'm actually just now firing up the third one myself. And the reason I gave it to Kurt is because I thought this game was cool as hell. Because it does some interesting stuff. It is a deck building roguelike game, but rather than just be like Slay the Spire, where you do kind of a series of sort of generic confrontations, it's set in a kind of clockwork world filled with characters who are all parts of different factions and who can, individually or collectively like or hate you based on the things that you do and the missions you take and just the way that you treat them. And I thought that it was a very neat game, and it's one of my favorite experiences this year. So I thought I'd send it on over to Kurt and see what he thinks, which we'll find out right now.
Yes, we will. Yes, I did receive said game. I have played this game. I have played through all of Sal Derek's campaign. I have played no more of that.
Oh, did you manage to finish it on your first go?
Well, I did fail in the middle of day 4, but you get a restart on a day, and once I did that, then I was able to complete it.
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot that when you fail, you can restart the day. I think in Sal's campaign, I think I failed somewhere maybe in late day 3, and I decided to start over because you get a permanent bonus for your next run, and then I finished on the second try.
I don't know that I was aware that had happened or remembered. So I just plugged ahead. Although I thought that perhaps I would crap out a second time and then have to restart, but I figured I'd see what happened. So,
Well, congratulations on finishing that first campaign.
In my experience with the game, it seemed like it was kind of designed to be pretty, like, not super challenging in the way that like a Slay the Spire is, in the order to encourage you to play through it and then maybe do multiple playthroughs to see alternate paths and dialogue and stuff like that. Because there's like, you make a lot of choices in how you interact with the characters and
you do,
in the campaign.
and I think that's one of the things that was a little. I guess my expectations were not calibrated And Mike actually mentioned, right, this is a roguelike. To me, that generally means, even though some of them are not true, but to me that generally means, you're playing through and you're playing lots of runs in that same way, like Hades
Or Rogue.
Rogue, or
Yes.
like
Or Slay the Spire, which I think
and
is
Slay the Spire, yeah,
the recent game that most reminds me of this in mechanics.
And so you know each individual run is not necessarily super long, and you're sort of playing through it and getting familiar with mechanics, and then you learn
The idea
thing,
is that you
again.
fail and get better at it, so you can get further and fail further in, and then
exactly.
Right.
And I don't feel like this is doing that. For one thing, I feel like the campaign that I played was a decent sort of chunk of time. It took me a few days to get through it.
Yeah, they're probably like 5 hours per campaign, maybe something like that.
Yeah, 5, 6, 7 hours, something like that, depending on how much reading you do and how much side questing you do and that kind of thing.
And whether you're the kind of person who agonizes over every move and spends a really long time playing around with their deck composition and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I think. I mean, the other thing is, I definitely think I would a follow-up run would go more quickly, because a bunch of that first run is just like, what do all these things do, and how does all this work? And I wouldn't obviously have that this time, or the next time I would go through it.
Yeah, the deck building part of this definitely seems like it's like a flavoring more than it is like the main thrust of the mechanics, like a Slay the Spire.
I don't know. It's less central because there's more stuff in the game, but I still think that you can make some pretty important choices. I think each character has each character, first of all, has 2 different modes of operation. There's the discussion combat and there's the physical combat, right? And they have very, very different mechanics. And in fact, the discussion combat, I still think after about 12 hours, I still think is kind of weird. But and each of the characters has completely separate decks for those, and I think each of them could be spec'd roughly kind of 2 ways. Like, they have 2, maybe 3 different tricks that you can rely on, and so you can build towards something. Like, I had a character where I did a bleed build for his combat deck, for example, and that involved me choosing the different cards that I wanted as rewards for quests and buying a few, and also the more you play a card, you can eventually upgrade them. So when you upgrade them, you get 2 different choices also. And I would use those to try and pick the ones that would push me towards the deck I was trying to build.
That I actually thought was a really neat sort of twist to it, was that part, because I didn't realize that was in there until it was like, hey, you've played this a bunch, you can upgrade these cards. I was like, oh, okay. And then that gives you, like you said, disparate choices. Like, you may have one, like a combat card that normally gives you 3 shields, that are not called shields in the game, but that's what it is. And when you get an upgrade, it can be like, well, now it gives you 5 shield, or it gives you 8 shield, but then you lose it
for the rest of that encounter,
of that battle, right?
Yeah, in fact, I even had somewhere where they were like, destroy this card after you play it once, like it give you a really good effect one time, which is kind of cool, because in Slay the Spire, one of the hardest parts of that game is getting rid of your starter cards that you don't want anymore. And in this game, I would say they're less undesirable, especially once you power them up. But it's cool that they give you some options like that.
And I also feel like that there is a way to get rid of cards, but I don't feel like the bar is very low in order to do that. So it's not like you could easily sort of go through and color your deck really, really cleanly. It didn't seem to me.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Eric that this game is easier, but it's significantly easier than Slay the Spire. But I wouldn't call it like easy. It's challenging but doable on a first run, I would say. I'm always pretty tense by the time I'm getting near day 5 on a run the first time through, and it has some very close calls. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I think I had to restart a day maybe on the second campaign that I played, as opposed to restarting the whole campaign. I don't. Have you dipped into the second campaign, Kurt?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, I won't go into it very much. But what's cool is that it's a different character, and they have a very different set of cards, and you're in a different region. Like it's kind of funny because in this world there are tons of characters, and so you can see a bunch on the screen. They're all named. They all belong to different factions. Most of them have like a job or a posting somewhere, and so like depending on where you are in the map, if you go back to a spot, you'll see that person again. And in the second map, it's a completely different map, but they kind of recycle the characters into different roles. So it's almost like they're actors that are kind of being cast differently.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. One of my favorite things about this game is the fact that everyone in the world is a character. So, you could be walking down the road and you get ambushed by someone, and they'll say they want your money, and then you can choose. Well, do you give them your money, or do you try to do a conversation battle where you intimidate them into leaving, or maybe even giving you something, or do you just fight them? And if you fight someone, then you have the choice between just kind of spanking them and sending them home, or killing them. And if you kill them, they're gone. They are out of the world for the rest of the game. And I don't know. I found it was really
well, and depending on who that is and how that happens, that may have negative.
Oh, you're gonna make some
repercussions
enemies.
as well.
You're gonna make enemies for sure. And there are missions where someone says, "I want you to kill this person," and so then you beat them, and then you have to choose: do you let them go or do you kill them? And if you kill them, you'll make enemies with their friends, but you'll fulfill your mission. And if you let them go, then maybe the person who sent you on the mission will be mad at you for the rest of the game. And
Right.
when people are a little mad at you, then they will inconvenience you. But when they're very mad at you, then they give you these kind of debuffs that last for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, there was somebody I pissed off really early in the campaign, and from then on, every conversation battle, there was a debuff from her that gave it was like every round 3 to 7 damage. It was like,
Yikes!
oh
That sounds nasty.
Yeah, I had to knock that out as my first thing to do before I could worry about the rest of it.
Or if you piss off a merchant, then all the prices will go up in all the stores and things like that.
And if you if you make friends with them, then it's cheaper.
You can kind of make friends with people by buying them drinks and stuff. And if you drink booze, you'll regain kind of your mental health, but you'll also get a bunch of debuff cards from being drunk that you have to kind of burn through during a round of
take
combat.
a brew in your hand that you can only get rid of when you sleep, which as
or
far
by
as I
playing
could tell, which as far as I could tell, you had no control over. It was just each. I think we sort of glossed over, but the campaign takes place over a number of days. It seems like it's 5.
I think it's always 5.
The main one. And so each day you're wandering around and doing some jobs and interacting with people and stuff like that. But I think it's the clock is really driven by doing some set number of things.
Yeah, each day will have X number of missions, and once those have been done, then the clock advances. And I think when it gets to be late, you can choose to advance the next day, or else you can maybe do optional missions, I think. So you have a little bit of control over how it advances.
Yeah. And you'll also, there can be...
watch out, Eric. He's kiting us.
timed missions or timed available things that will show up from time to time.
I mean, you could just stop chasing him, and then he wouldn't be kiting us anymore.
Sure. Or you can wait for the wind.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Kurt, did you ever have the thing happen where it's like, hey, you made a friend with someone, and they're going to die if you don't go and save them right now?
I did not have that.
Okay, well, that's just a random event that can happen sometimes. It's like, hey, your buddy so and so is in trouble, and you can either go and save them, or else you can do a different mission. So choosing which one you want to pursue. I don't know. I really like the kind of permanence of it and the fact that everyone was a character, because there were times when I would meet some people and they were real trouble, and I'd fight them, and I'd be like, well, I can kill these people and take them out of the game, but it felt kind of momentous to do so.
Right.
And if you kill enough people, you get branded as a murderer, which intimidates people when you talk with them.
Yeah, and you can end up like, oh, I'm gonna go near the end of the campaign. I had a thing where it's like, oh, you can.
I just wanted to point out
do this.
A good example of the writing that I like in this game is the stab card. The text is, "Why do I have 2 daggers? Well, I have 2 hands, don't I?" And then this one says elbow strike. See, people always expect the daggers. That's why I hit him with the elbow sometimes.
There was a mission where it was like, go off and do this thing for me. If you want, you can take some of my buddies from the faction to go and help you. And when I went to talk to one of them, I had to do a talking battle to convince them to come. The problem being that 2 of the other faction members were already mad at me, so anybody that I tried to engage to possibly come help me, I would have to fight both of them and win to get one of them to help me out, which was not super useful.
Yeah. So how have you found the writing in the story so far?
I thought it was enjoyable. The each of the little quests had not a super deep story to them, but there was some interest there, and I liked the sort of through line that Sal was on, and what she was trying to do, and how she was sort of navigating the world. And they gave you some interesting sort of choices between the various factions in order to kind of get to your ultimate goal. I thought that was pretty good in the way they'd set up some of that. From battle to battle, I thought was enjoyable. I wasn't sitting there thinking this is just insufferable. There's too much text or anything like that.
Very good. Any general thoughts about, I don't know, mechanics, the card battles, the discussion?
Yeah, I mean I think the card battling was generally well implemented. It wasn't difficult to understand how to get what I want done or anything like that. It did feel like I had something where I could just boost my my health pool every time I slept, but I didn't have a lot of opportunities to boost my resolve, which seemed like a limitation. Effectively, I could get through 1, maybe 2, but I might be struggling by the end. Negotiations, and then I'd end up kind of being stuck and having to either go and try and boost myself up if I had enough money so that I could do more negotiation, or sort of being painted into a corner where it's like, well, I would like to negotiate with this person, but I don't have enough resolve. I'm just going to get hammered. And as you went through the campaign, their values were going up sort of faster than mine were.
It depends a little bit on what kind of cards and bonuses you find. Also,
Right.
there are the grafts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know how much of that had to do with the crafts, which are sort of permanent upgrades that you have slots in your character
Brain.
that give you bonuses for various things that you have opportunities at various times during the game to get hold of, which aren't always 100% beneficial.
No,
Yes.
sometimes they come with negatives. I remember what it was. It was fingers or something like that, or an extra hand or something like that. and if you took it, 3 people would immediately hate you because clearly the hand came from
it's
somebody.
weird.
But it had a
That's
very
pretty
good
funny.
bonus. I can't remember what the bonus was, but I know I took it.
You're meditating. Nice.
So I was going to ask, this is a rogue like. Right?
Delicious
So,
and non-toxic food.
So there is, so you don't keep any cards you earn over the course of a playthrough, but there are these permanent upgrades that you were talking about, grafts or whatever that are permanent upgrades.
No, those are also just within the scope of one playthrough. It's not the kind of game where you play it a whole bunch of times in a row and get better every time, really. I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's if you're good, if you play your cards right, you can finish the campaign on a first go probably, and then if you want, you can increase the difficulty. Or there's tons of modifiers you can put on afterwards if you want to play the game again. I honestly didn't want to play the campaigns that I'd completed a second time because I really enjoyed. I think for me, a big part of it was the experience of the world and the characters and the setting. It's not really a roguelike in that sense for me because I'm not going to play each campaign 20 times.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
there
agree.
is no meta progress.
No.
In the same way as Hades or even Dead Cells has something.
Well, like I said, if you fail the campaign, you can start it over and you can retain something from your previous playthrough to make it a little easier. So there is kind of meta progress until you actually complete the campaign. There is some meta progress in that I think you unlock additional cards the more you play.
Yeah, you add some cards to the pool, but it's it's like 2 or 3 or something like that, and they're not necessarily world-beatingly better than what you have to begin with.
No.
Right. So what governs if you fail? What governs what you can keep to your next playthrough?
Well, you choose one of 3 buffs, and I believe that they're mostly based on the stuff you like. Like one of them will be like keep this good upgraded card you had, or one of them will be just have more health or resolve at the start of your next thing, or one of them might be to keep a graph that you have on your character. So they're generally mostly based on what you've already accomplished.
Okay.
I want to say.
Is the starting deck for each character identical every time you start, or is that randomized to some extent?
I think it's identical, at least until you've unlocked some other cards. I don't know if you have any options to swap out cards once you've increased the size of the pool, but the characters have all completely unique cards. It's kind of like Slay the Spire in that sense that each character has stuff that no other character gets. Like everything they have is unique to them. There are cards you can get in the game that are common cards that are available to everyone. Like if you buy food or drinks at the bar, I think, or some of the items you can get at shops would be the same for everyone. But otherwise, it's all unique to your character.
Right. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've played it, but I feel like even that's interesting if the deck is always the same because I feel like when you start a game in like SNK versus Capcom card fighters, like there's some level of randomization to your starting deck. Like you get just dumped with like, here's a random set of cards, good luck, and they're all like bad, but
Trash
until
tier.
you learn better, right? But it's not identical every time you start. I don't think.
I don't know. Like Slay the Spire definitely has the same layout every time you start, and then your job is to take that and branch out and make your build. And the things you're offered are different every time too. So even if you start at the same point, you can't necessarily just say, I'm going to make this build that I like every single time. You might not have that option.
Yeah, you might not get access to them. Yeah. I will say that the art style doesn't do a lot for me.
Nope.
It looks like it looks like at least a few other clay.
I was gonna say, it looks like
It doesn't. It looks a little different than Don't Starve, but it looks a lot like
Shadow of the Ninja.
Mask of the Ninja.
Mask of the Ninja.
And
Shank.
Shank.
Yeah, Shank is probably the one that I think.
I mean, it's more. It's like this post-apocalyptic space opera, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's the actual art style and the way the characters.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but I'm just like, it's fine.
I think the characters animate nicely.
That's true. Yeah, it's more the design of it than the way it's implemented.
How many characters are there you can choose from? 3.
There are 3 campaigns you can play. Yeah.
And they're all different. It's a different character each time, or it's 3?
Yeah, they're different. Each campaign has a character, and each character has a totally different set of cards.
Do they cross paths with each other? Like, are they characters in each other's campaigns or not?
I have that. I don't know if that could happen later on, but so far the main characters seem to be on their own, and all the background supporting cast kind of are interchangeable in their different roles from one campaign to the next. Although I'm not 100% sure that. Yeah, I think that's true for all 3 campaigns.
So which faction did you side with in the Sal campaign?
The
Admiralty or the Spree?
I'm pretty sure I went with the Spree. Yeah, the kind of raiders, the Mad Max looking people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were more fun than the Admiralty.
I agreed. Yeah. Who wants to work for a bunch of cops?
Yeah, seriously. When you can have a bunch of cool dudes with like bone clubs and stuff.
Yeah, right. And their leader has a giant hole in his face.
He does. I forgot about that. That's a fact.
And he's real bitter about it too. If you ask him about it, you poke at him about it, he gets really crabby about it.
Yeah, I like the writing on that character. I forget what his name is, but I thought it was pretty good. I'm not sure that he's in the other campaigns. I think like maybe the really big players for each campaign are unique, but all the ones doing filler roles are there in the other ones.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts or opinions to share?
I have my to say. I did enjoy it. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving it to me, Mike. I don't know if it was one I would have picked up on my own anytime soon, but I was happy to play through it, and I thought I enjoyed my time with it. I'll definitely go back and play some of the other, the other character campaigns. That's an attack card. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should give the second one a try. He's got a parasite.
Oh, man. Now they just did an update that added. There's the little button next to the end turn button that says flourish, or that is for flourishes, which is apparently a new thing.
Yeah, it's like a super ability that your character can do.
Yeah, and so you build up over time. You build up that thing, and then you can click on it, and it'll give you effectively a randomized card to say, do this Uber thing now.
I didn't realize that all the characters got that. I had assumed that it was just for the new one. But I see it now on Eric's screen.
So it ended up showing up on the last day of my campaign.
Huh. Probably not very useful then, because it takes a while for them to.
No, I was able to build it up and fire it up twice.
Oh, cool.
I guess it was the day before. I replayed day 4 and then I played day 5, so I had it once on each day.
Do you like the big heist at the end of the first campaign?
I did. I thought that was fun.
Auction heist. I don't think I stuck around to pillage the auction. I think I just kind of went straight for the bullseye.
Nice. Yeah, I did. I effectively did the same. It's like, you and me, let's do this. Because I was worried about running out of either resolve or HP. Because it was not clear necessarily if that would really be the last fight or not.
Yeah, I want to say that I very often focus my builds on resolve and negotiation deck because I like to try to start every encounter by negotiating first.
Yeah, I did.
And you get to a point where you just can't do that after a long day. But I got pretty good at it, especially with I think my second campaign where I was almost always able to get a negotiation win, and then sometimes that turns into a fight afterwards anyway. But
right.
I feel like I had a much harder time with some of the fight sequences.
Yeah, I agree.
Came much closer to losing.
There's one that I did, like on the beach. There was a quest that I was like, yeah, okay, I'll fight this, and then it ended up being a 3-on-2 fight, and the people that I was fighting were really strong. I guess that's a thing to note when we're talking about the fighting stuff, and you say you can sort of fight someone till they,
give up
till they submit. Yeah, if you have a single opponent, when you do that, it'll essentially go into this mode and just basically say, do you want to accept their surrender? You can click on a card to kill them. If there's multiple people you're fighting, you can fight one of them into a surrender state, but you can't take the surrender until they're all subdued. And so if you subdue one and spend a lot of time trying to whittle down the other one and don't do it fast enough, then the one that you subdued can rally and come back in and start fighting again, which can be problematic.
Yeah, or you can just kill them in the middle of the fight.
Right, you could have, if you decided you didn't want to deal with them, you could just kill them. But if you were trying to get them all to submit, it has to be done simultaneously, which can get tricky depending on, like, some of the fights. You have, like, well, this guy buffs these other guys, and so, if you want to sort of remove that threat, you may have to do it a couple of times while you're whittling down the main guy.
Well, it sounds like you enjoyed it, but maybe not to the same level as me. I thought this was a very cool sort of sandbox game. I like the way it makes the narrative and mechanical aspects together.
Yeah, I think they worked well in that way. Sort of the theme and the mechanics of how you were doing the thing, I think, were well realized and sort of excuse me, integrated nicely. So I definitely thought that was nicely done.
All right, well then let's call this a Sticksmas success.
Yes, it is a success. Huzzah, Sticksmas.
Well, all right then. Unless
check out Griftlands, everybody.
Unless someone else has anything else that they want to add, then maybe we'll wrap it up there.
Yes.
Yes, you do have something
and
else to add.
Eric, no, I was going to say yes, we could. Eric had played this before. I don't know if he has anything else to add to the.
I mean, I played
proceedings,
like 2
'cause
hours.
you played it like last year.
Yeah, I played like 2 hours of it before. It was quite. I mean, it wasn't that much different, like art wise and story wise, but I really don't remember it too well. But I liked it then, and I want to play some of it this year. It's on my list of things that I need to spend more time with before we finish up with 2020 and do our Game of the Year stuff.
Well, report back and let us know how you like it.
I like it so far. I liked it enough last time I played it to want to wait until it was actually done, because more like with mechanics focused games, I don't mind playing them a little bit when they're in early access, but with more story focused stuff, I kind of want to wait until that is kind of refined, and I want all of that
this
to
is
be
not
there.
done
So,
per se, but to Mike's point, I think it's
yeah.
it seems like I didn't play through the campaign and be like, well, it just stops or whatever.
Yeah. I think that they're
I think
developing
they're
it
just adding more
campaign at a time
pieces.
or whatever. But
Yeah, exactly.
also,
Right.
just shout out to Clay for just the incredible variety of games that they put out and how all of them are good. They keep trying different things. Yeah, it's just like, wow. They can make a good survival game or a good stealth action platformer or a good beat 'em up or a good
XCOM like
deck builder.
a good whatever the hell this game is, or a good like turn-based tactical stealth game. They keep trying stuff, and I'm gonna keep
cool.
checking out their games because every time it's like something different and interesting. So,
Yep, agreed.
anyways, that's all I got.
All right.
That's all he got.
Well, then we'll see you next time for more Stickmas goodness.
Yay, Merry Sticksmas.
Merry Sticksmas.
I think we're gonna do 2 of Alex's things next time. So,
Nice.
bye.